go. Thanks, dude. So what is up, guys? How's it going? Sorry for the short delay here. I see it's about 10 minutes behind when we were supposed to get this thing started, but I hope you're all still sticking around. For those of you who can't see me, or who couldn't see me before, you should be able to see me now. Okay. And if you have any issues, just put it right there in the comment section. We'll try our best to get it working just fine. And I can't see the comments, guys, so that's where we're going to ask the questions today. So I assume Maytab of the fine guys at Wired Guitars asked me to do this because we just released this fine piece of musical instrumentation right here, my new PRS SE model. And yeah, I just wanted to field some questions on it today. I know there's a lot of interest on it, and some of you guys have questions. I mean, the specs are all kind of public knowledge right now, but you guys have some pretty specific questions, I imagine, from being guitar nerds such as myself. So that's why I'm here, really. There's a lot of stuff going on in my world. There's a lot of stuff going on in Periphery's world. And on the PRS front, we're doing a lot of really cool new stuff over at PRS. And I figured this would be the ideal time to ask those questions if you guys have those questions ready to go. So yeah, I'm really just here. I can probably stay for about an hour today. But with that said, anything goes. You guys can totally ask me anything about those things. So good to go. I'll start fielding some of these questions here. Oh, by the way, before I get started, I should show you what I'm jamming through. So I don't have my Axe Effects right now. My Axe Effects is currently racked up in our rehearsal space in Washington, D.C. So with that being said, I'm jamming through this thing. If you can see. You see my kitchen there, by the way? That's my kitchen. It's totally my kitchen. You can't really see it that well. Right there, the little Yamaha THR-10X practice amp. That thing rips. It's what I use at home when I'm on my couch or when I jam in the bedroom. I just bring it in there. It's just like I take it in every room with me, wherever I happen to be just hanging out. And it's just like, it's the most powerful, ballsy practice amp you've ever heard. It's pretty amazing. And you can dial in some pretty heavy tones with it as well. That's what I like about it. The big weakness with a lot of practice amps is there's just not a lot of practice amps suited to what I do or what I like, but I don't know if you can hear that, but let me turn it up a little bit. So very rich and very satisfying tone to jam on, but the practice amp is awesome. It's a Yamaha THR-10X, I believe it's called. Absolutely rips. Okay, the Black Star ID, I've never played the Black Star stuff, to be honest. The Yamaha was my first choice because it was so affordable, and it's just extremely portable and very stylish. It kind of looks like a piece of pre-World War II era gear or something. It just looks very antique-like. How do you guys know that's Marigold, by the way, man? Album's not even out. I sense some fishiness going on. No, I'm just kidding. Some of you have already heard the previews, I think. But yeah, that song is a bitch to play, an absolute bitch. And when the album comes out, you will find out that Marigold is kind of a nightmare on guitar. Me, Misha, and Jake right now, we're all sort of like learning or relearning our parts for that song. And you know, when you're in the studio writing, you kind of don't really think about how you're going to replicate the material live. It's just, let's go crazy with it. Let's write the coolest song possible, and then not really let that thought into your mind about, oh, how do we play this live? But now it's hitting us like a ton of bricks. It's like that same feeling that Race Car gave us, that G gave us from Periphery 2, track 4 on Periphery 2, I believe it was. Have a Blast gave us this nightmare. There weren't really any songs in Juggernaut that were that difficult. But Marigold is probably the greatest example of that sort of that stress, being like, oh my God, what the fuck why the fuck did we write this for? No, but it's a fun song for sure. A song that Jake had trouble with. Oh, okay. So Jacob Fennell is asking about a tweet that Jake Bowen made a couple minutes ago. So Jake pretty much scolded me on the internet for writing some parts in The Way the News Goes, which I'll play for you right now. By the way, it's like super. So very all over the place. Sorry, Jake. Rest in peace, Jake. Rest in peace. Yeah, but the song Marigold is a pain in the penis hole, for sure. And if you want to hear, here's, you know what? So this is my first stab in the dark at Marigold in front of people. So you want to hear it? Here's the main riff from Marigold. Fuck. Oh. That song is kind of a pain for someone with my left-hand technique, because as you saw from the riffs I was playing earlier, I use my thumb a ton. And that riff, the Marigold riff, so you can almost see how straight your hand has to be, almost like I see someone mentioned Bach. It's like a classical hand posture. And I'm very happy with the way my left hand posture is. I think that's something that is a hallmark of my playing, but I want to be convertible within the two. I want to be able to use my thumb to fret things and use my thumb as a sort of way to fret roots of a power chord, to fret the first 2 or 3 voicings of a power chord. But I want to be able to go back and fret sort of like a classical player would. It's just a better way. I mean, you look at the best players. For instance, you look at John Petrucci's left hand, and it's straight as an arrow. There's no sort of slanted posture to his left hand, which is why he has such great fretboard access. Okay. You guys are asking some pretty silly stuff. Isn't some of them not even questions? Dance with me, dance the dance of life. Okay, let's dance later. Are we ever going to get a USA Holcomb 7? I don't know. I mean, so can I just say this for anybody who's been at, because that's the #1 question I've gotten regarding the SE model since we announced it yesterday, was please put out a 7-string. Please put out a 7-string. Please put out a 7-string. And my answer to that is, okay, but you have to really tell PRS. You know, there's not really anything I can do since I don't have a stake in the company. I'm just an artist who plays their guitars and who fortunately has developed guitars with them. But if you really want a PRS 7, a Holcomb 7 rather, ask them. You know, call them up and write them an email, comment on their page, write them a message on Facebook. It really, really means something. And those places just don't disappear, or those messages just don't disappear into thin air. They end up being read by somebody, and then they get passed on. It's not a very big company. It's unlike a lot of these other larger companies, which you kind of just assume have no personality or no face to their company. But PRS is pretty tight knit. That's a big misconception about the company, and it's one of the allures for me. That's why I'm with them. Yeah, I would if I could, you know. The sevens in my bedroom, maybe I'll get that for you in a second. The one-off private stock seventh they made me. Be that guy who asked for fan frets. No, I'm not trying to fan fret, man. You know, it works for Nolly and some sort of rarity instruments. I dig that, but it's not really for me. Favorite beer? I don't know. It kind of just depends on the mood I'm in. I'm an IPA fan. I like IPAs no matter the time of year, no matter what I'm eating with it, or any time of day. I had one for breakfast. I'm just kidding. I didn't have it for breakfast. But no, IPA is definitely my favorite. I don't have a favorite IPA since I'm not really that picky of a beer drinker. I don't really drink a ton of beer, but one IPA or two IPAs will really, really make my day. Do I have any hand exercises that I do to loosen up? You know, severe psoriatic arthritis, and I was looking for sure. Yeah, man, that's tough. I know a couple people. Actually, one of my really good friends has carpal tunnel syndrome in his left hand, and it really hinders him from being able to do certain types of moves on the guitar, especially if he's out of practice. But I've heard from experts that if you want to, whether it's carpal tunnel or whether it's arthritis like you have, if there's a way to sort of get around it, it's not starting fast. You know, you don't want to start shredding as soon as you pick up a guitar. You want to just start slow, you know, like no metronome or anything like that. Just start slow, get limber, and really that's the only hard exercise I do with my left hand before like I get ready for a show. That's the first thing that I do. Is warm up, but start slowly, because your hands can cramp up pretty badly, and I have pretty long, gangly fingers. But they really just need to be warmed up slowly, and then sort of gather speed and get limber from there. Let's see. So Cooper Robinson is asking, will Nolly be at the All Things Periphery Summer Jam, which we're holding in upstate New York in late July? There's still some tickets left for those of you guys who want to go. It's going to be a 4-day-long retreat, basically, with us, based around instruction, seminars, classes, clinics, and basically hanging out with us. It's going to be pretty cool. We've never done anything like this before, and I think few bands have. So yeah, Nolly will be there, for sure. He's going to be an integral part of that, because the camp is going to be based on recording and songwriting and the processes that go into that. And you're basically going to get to witness all of that and interject with your own questions, and we'll give answers. So it's going to be very, very involved with us and you guys. It's going to be a really good time. But Nolly will be there, correct? If you live in New York, you had to come. What's the specific songwriting process unique to how you go about writing complete songs? It really depends, man. So Periphery 3 started with, I swear, anywhere from about 40 to 60 rough song ideas or demos. It was a lot of material, because, you know, all 6 of us are very prolific, and all 6 of us just kind of write when we're bored. And when it comes time to get together and reconvene as a band, we never have any shortage of ideas. And writing for the record was actually pretty effortless. In January, when we got together, we said, okay, we're going to get together for a month, sit in a room, and just sleep in the same apartment for an entire month, and then write the record together. But we ended up finishing the album, or finishing writing for the album, in about 2.5 weeks, because the creative momentum was just so strong. And for us, I mean, we're a very guitar-centric band. You know, I mean, we're lucky enough to have people who are super talented at their instruments, at every instrument in this band. But the bulk of our writing and creating of each song is done on the guitar. 99% of it is started on the guitar. So that's me, Misha, and Jake. And actually, we brought Nolly in for a lot of the guitar writing on this past record, which was a huge pleasure, since he's a ridiculous player and a great riff writer. He wrote some riffs for a song called Prayer Position that are pretty sweet. Do you guys want to hear some of the Prayer Position riffs? Sorry, I'm like ignoring a bunch of your questions, but you're asking so many. Do you want to hear some riffs from Prayer Position? I'm practicing it right now because I think we're playing it in August, so I have to get sharp. And there's nothing to get me sharp like playing it in front of you guys. So here we go. No. Songs in drop A, or what I call drop A. It's basically our standard, our normal Periphery 6-string tuning. So everything down a full step, and then the 6th string is down to A. All right, so I'm gonna try to fuss through a riff or two for you guys. I'm still not quite there yet, but yeah, that song's gonna be fun. And like I said, I say this in every interview that I do for the record, it's definitely our riffiest album so far. There's not a lot of solos. So I have one solo on the record, Misha has one solo, and there's some leads sprinkled throughout, but there's not a lot of solos. There is a ton of riffing. So, so those of you riff dorks out there, get stoked. I'm a riff dork, you know what I mean? I love leads, but nothing gets me like a good riff. Learning stuff's gonna help me. No. There are solos. There are solos, Chris Hartley. There are solos, okay? But there's not as many as there were in Juggernaut and Periphery 2. Do you noodle and find riffs? It's a little bit of both. Sometimes I hear ideas in my head and then I pick up a guitar and try and flesh them out. But really, it's just sitting there and sort of noodling on a guitar that I like or with a tone that I like. There's nothing that can inspire an unexpected creative idea than just picking up an instrument that feels comfortable to you, you know, and that makes you happy to play. I see sometimes a lot of people fight with their gear. You know, I never got into the whole gear search because that's not what it's all about. You know, just finding that one inspiring instrument and then letting that speak to you. And then that's sort of the conduit for your creative ideas. So to me, it's about finding a good guitar, finding a good tone, and that's when the ideas start pouring out via the noodling, as you called it. So Super asks, have I ever had to deal with recording anxiety? That's a really good question, recording anxiety. So red light fever, as they call it, right? Red light fever, that sounds like a Taiwanese whorehouse district. So yes, I have actually, but you know what the number one thing that I do is I focus not on what I play in the studio, is I focus on breathing. And the reason for that is look, before a recording session, you're practiced, right? If you're anywhere near as anal retentive and prepared and over-prepared as I am, then you're going to already be practiced. You being able to play the parts is not the issue, right? Because you will naturally have put in the work because you understand the stakes of recording your band's album. But what you're talking about, recording anxiety, is performance anxiety, really, you know? And that's caused by being in your own head too much. It's what I call being in your own head. That's where you're sort of tunnel vision, focusing on this one thing, and you sort of lose sight of everything else going on. And that's not a good thing because you lock up, you tense up, you psych yourself out. And I just focus on my breathing. I breathe naturally. You know, I'm not a yoga person, but they always say if you want to maintain your greatest level of sort of mental fortitude and thinking, is focus on your breathing, and the rest comes naturally because you know what you know. And you can only tap into that if your breathing is steady. So yeah, that's a really important tip for me is just focus on your breathing in the studio so you don't get the red light fever. And wear protection if you have red light fever. You know what I mean? When you're in Taiwan. I'm not going to be doing lessons on this tour, and the reason for that is it just gets really busy on tour. We have so much stuff to do every day, and I used to have a lot more spare time, and unfortunately I'm not going to do it on this one. I may on one of the subsequent tours. What's your thinking process when writing in C add 9 and C minor add 9? So somebody asked what my thinking process there is for alternate tunings. I use alternate tunings for some songs in Periphery and Haunted Shores. So Scarlet has open C add 9, and Haunted Shores features that tuning and open C minor add 9, which is used on Norway Jose and the Spire. And the beauty of those tunings is there are no conventions. There is no thinking process when you're writing those tunings. The beauty of it is that you have to sort of throw the rule book out the window and then sort of start from scratch. You know, when you get in these ruts, the very definition of a rut is just you stick to what you're used to and that's it, right? So then your growing ceases to happen, and then you're sort of stuck in your comfort zone. Trying out alternate tunings forces you to sort of expand your comfort zone and get out of that, so you're sort of put at gunpoint and forced to think about other sort of tricks and moves that you can resort to. So for me, that's the beauty of those tunings. There's no thought process when you put your guitar in a different tuning. You sort of had to teach yourself different conventions, and that in turn forces some original ideas, hopefully. What's my favorite P3 song? My favorite P3 song is the last track called Loon. It's a very big, epic ballad type of song that I hope you guys like too. I shouldn't say ballad. Ballad's not a good word for it. Thanks for the condom tip. Yeah, dude, always. Off tour, I do Skype lessons sometimes. Hit me up on Facebook about that, all right? Favorite song, I already said it. Yeah, so someone asks, when I started playing guitar, did I play songs over and over? Absolutely. That's all I did. When I started playing guitar, I played Master of Puppets in my bedroom relentlessly, over and over and over again until I just got sick of it. But that's how I learned. I mean, a lot of people always say I have a pretty strong right hand. I pick pretty hard. That's from the thrash stuff. I got into that sort of style, like picking super hard from the thrash stuff, and that sort of percussive. You can sort of hear the snarliness. Like, check this out. You hear this? You hear that sort of like when I upstroke, there's like a percussive slappiness. That's part pickups, right? That's part of the Omega characteristics that we dialed in with that pickup. But, you know, I have to say, a lot of it is in the way you pick. Most of it is in the way you pick, really. And if you're sitting there picking like, just sort of like playing softly and not really sort of going for it, you know, I always like, there's a reason it's called attack, because you're actually punching the string. You're not going to get that sound, and that's a huge hallmark of our playing, and my playing in particular. Got any pets? I don't have any pets. I want a dog really badly. Neither here nor there, but I really want a dog. Someone mail me a dog, please. My brother is still doing our videos. Yes, my brother is still doing our videos. Jeff Holcomb is Periphery's videographer. Alex Wallaber, who's also another videographer and photographer friend of ours. He works with us from time to time. But the two are a great combination. Great dudes. Well, one of them I obviously have to like. I'm forced to like him since he's my brother. Yes, you will see a very large set list in August. That's our longest headline set ever. We're playing it in August. It's going to be great. As far as a touring basis, somebody's asking us about a touring basis. Okay, so, and I still get questions about this from time to time. Adam Nolly Getgood is no longer our live touring bass player. And the story is a very long, complex one, but it basically boils down to Nolly wanting to focus on some other things in his life. And we have to respect that. We have to admire that. And yeah, we were reeling from it for a bit, but there's really nothing we can do. And he will forever be a member of Periphery. He's just too integral to the process, to the songwriting process, recording process, engineering, mixing, all that stuff. He's a true jack of all trades. But we are going to roll with bass on backing tracks for now. For the time being, and we really only have a tour in August planned at the latest, and one show in South Africa planned, and that is probably what we will do for that. So the answer is I don't know, but that's how we're going to do it for now. And yes, sixth, Black Machines. Awesome. I hope you guys like the guitar, man. I hope you guys like this guitar. I'm super proud of it. I really can't describe how happy with it I am. I let some of my closest friends play it, and of course my bandmates, and so some of my friends say it feels like a private stock or something like that. And really, the specs are right on, because I feel like that's the problem. That's why a lot of factory-made guitars get a bad name. I honestly feel like it boils down to the specs. But when guitars are made in a factory, the issue of consistency is not really much of an issue at all. The instruments are going to be made with consistency. They may not have the sort of attention to detail, that level of attention to detail as a handcrafted instrument has, but this guitar is set up in the Maryland factory at PRS, and the specs are nailed. And in my mind, those two factors right there are the two most important factors in making a good guitar. And I'm really kind of stunned at how good this turned out, you know. Because I feel like the skepticism is pretty justified out there. Like when people see, oh, it's an SE model. Oh, damn it, it's an SE model. Why can't it be a core model? Why can't it be a USA-made model? But really, it's about the specs and how well it's set up. If it's dialed in correctly spec-wise, and it's set up by the right people, and the guitar is made consistently because it's made in a factory, there should be really no issue with how well a guitar can play, right? I mean, to me, the bulk of it is in the spec. So, Bloomis Flyway is asking about the color scheme on the guitar. Yeah, I mean, I just really like purple. You know, I grew up getting made fun of because I like the color purple. I didn't even like Barney. This was before the days of Barney. I'm about to be 34. So Barney was not even a thing when I was a kid. It was not about the purple dinosaur. I just like the color purple. And it's a very subtle purple too, and that's what I like about it. It's like sort of a black guitar with a purple tinge to it. And the back is completely black and glossy on the back of the guitar, and the satin neck on the back, which is really, really, really comfy. Jacob is asking about the bridge. Same bridge as the USA model. It's actually, you know, I'm not quite sure. I think it is, or one was made at the factory overseas to mimic that one. So it feels the exact same, 100%. I even did an A/B as we were prototyping consistently to make sure that they were the exact same, and they sat the exact same on the guitar, and they felt the same on my wrist. So it is the same. Any plans of coming to Europe? Yes, we will come to Europe soon, but I can't say anything right now. Can't say anything right now. What are you listening to right now? I'm listening to a band called 1975 a lot. I listened to Between the Buried and Me today for the first time in a long time, and I fucking love that band. What else have I listened to lately? Strapping Young Lad. This band called Bloodbath from Sweden. The Japanese House. Those of you who like really chill, electronic, melodic, well-programmed electronic music, check out The Japanese House. Somebody asked why SE and not S2. You know, that was something that PRS wanted to do, you know. But to me, like I was saying back on the whole spec talk, if it's spec'd out right, then that's really the main factor in how the guitar turns out. The main difference between the S2 models and the SE models is where they're made. There are some slight appointments that differentiate the two models, like different knobs, different hardware, and this and that, different wood combinations. But it's still set up in the US factory. So whether it was an SE or an S2, it really did not have to be one or the other with me. I just wanted the guitar to be a certain way spec-wise. Like it needed to. I was such an asshole about designing this guitar. It needed to be exactly as the USA model was, and it needed to have these pickups in it. And that was the most important thing. I didn't need to have it made in the USA. I didn't need to have any of this. I just needed to have the pickups, and the specs absolutely nailed, and that's what they did. So I have to give them a lot of credit. And okay, Jordan Burgos is asking about, sorry, one second. Stainless steel frets. This does not have stainless steel frets. It does not. These are nickel frets, and these are the DGT size, which are the largest frets that PRS offers. So they're really tall and sort of fat feeling, and you really can't feel the fretboard when you're doing vibrato and things like that. And yeah, I mean, nickel and stainless steel, both to me are very viable types of fret wire. I played a lot of stainless steel guitars in which I like to fret wire, and I've played a lot of nickel fretted guitars that I think are amazing. But you know, fret wire is not a huge thing for me. It's really, again, about the size of the frets, not the material. It's about the size, and we went for the absolute biggest frets that we could get for this. I don't listen to a lot of improv jam bands, to be honest. It's never been my thing, you know? I can't say why, but if you want to send me links to some good ones, let me know. Sharp picks. I just started using, all right, check these out. I just started using these .68 thickness Jim Dunlop ones, and they're pretty sharp at the end there, and they're pretty large. I switched from the Jazz 3 shape because I just started to enjoy playing these more. It's sort of more fulfilling, and the thinness of the pick. Check this out. I want to show you guys something that I've been having a lot of fun with. With thinner picks, I can pick harder and not send the string sharp. So I can really lay into it. So I'm picking super hard, but I'm not really sending the string sharp or that sharp. Whereas with the Jazz 3, I would notice when I was playing live, I would like, you know, get a running or jumping start and then just like smash the string with that Jazz 3, and it would send it almost like a half step sharp or something. So yeah, oh, Snarky Puppy, man, hell yeah. Thank you for the good call there. Snarky Puppy is amazing. Someone turned me on to them a couple years ago, and they're freaking ridiculous. And it is a standard size pick, by the way. And no, I never go above 1 millimeter in terms of my pick thickness. I like thinner picks these days, even for lead playing. Yeah, even for lead playing, this feels so much more satisfying to me. I feel like I can jump from string to string a lot more effortlessly with this. But it's really just personal taste, and I find that there's less give between each string, and when it comes to switching from string to string. It's just a lot more fluid to me. Ask PRS if you want a 7-string, okay? If you want a 7-string PRS, PRS SE or PRS, ask PRS, not me, please. Go write them an email. Recording on a budget. Yes, okay, record on a budget. Please just find any DAW, really. You don't need to go out and buy the most expensive version of Cubase or buy the most expensive version of Pro Tools. Use GarageBand. The most important part of being able to record yourself, I feel like, is just getting to hear the intricacies of your playing, especially if you don't plan on being like a full-time engineer or a full-time producer. Like, I'm not an engineer, but I find great value in recording myself. And by that, I just mean something simple in Cubase, like a simple Cubase setup, and just being able to convey ideas and jot down ideas in the most simple way. a cheap way too. Like, get a cheap interface, man. Especially if you don't plan on being a full-time producer or engineer. Learn to convey your ideas and sort of tweak them and perfect them. And one thing that tracking myself really helped me with was hearing the deficiencies in my playing. I had a lot of issues that I didn't know were there before I started recording myself, but once I heard what I would sound like double track, I would hear so much inconsistencies between takes, between what I thought my playing sounded like and what I really sounded like, and I got to address them thanks to that. So yeah, Reaper is a good example. Some sort of cheap DAW, for sure. That would definitely help. But start slow, start simple. You don't need to splurge on a freaking $1,000 DAW. Just go start simple and learn to track yourself. Learn to be tight, and you can learn to play tight to a click and one track. That's it. And that's the most important thing. Nobody wants to track you if you don't know how to play tightly. Please, please, please do that. The fret binding on this guitar? Okay, so there is binding. Check that out. There's binding. So that is also satin finish. So you can't really feel the binding at all. It doesn't pop out at all. And really, the binding, I like the way the binding looked. I actually got this 7 I had with the binding, same binding, but it's more utilitarian for me. I can see the neck a lot better on stage. And for the original US model that we put out last year, we did lumen lays, which was cool. I love that feature, and I think it's a super novel thing. And just the technology is really cool too, because I like telling people that I have glow in the dark thingies on my fretboard. But no, this is just so much more simple and just an easier way for me to see the neck on a dark stage, which is #1 first and foremost. There's nothing like picking up a guitar with a solid black neck and no lumen laser, no glow-in-the-dark side dots, and just being like, oh my god, I am so fucked. Especially if you had to play like a, R material or something. It does not have lumen lays. This guitar does not have lumen lays. I decided to ditch lumen lays in favor of this white binding with the black dots. And again, it's just as easy to see the fret markers on this white binding. It's really the main reason that it's there. Besides the fact that I kind of dig the way it looks. I forgot to mention that best for you is that girls like you better. That's true. Girls will like you better. Dudes will like you better too if that's your thing, right? Both sexes. It's not just about if girls will like you. Can I play Wonderwall on it? You guys want to know something? You guys want to hear something cool? You want to hear what the worst sound in the world is? It's playing Wonderwall a half step up. Check it out. Check it out. Here, this is the worst sound in the world. Check it out. Wonderwall a half step up. You want more of that? Okay. I'm reading your comments. Someone record that, please. Can somebody please come over to my house and we'll record a version of Wonderwall a half step up? Okay. Actually, how about, oh wait, you want to hear Priestess a half step up? Okay, hold on. Here's a Priestess half step. Sorry. All right. So you said someone wants to hear more P3 riffs. Do you guys want to hear some P3 riffs? I'm gonna get my 7-string. Okay. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You can stare creepily at my kitchen. All right. So this is the 7. This is the one-off PRS-7 that I've been talking about. And as you can see, the binding is the same as that PRS SE model that I just had in my hands. 7-string alpha omega sets. You'll see when we played Download Festival, a couple weeks ago, I lost my knob right there, which is not the first time I've lost my knob. Get it? But I got to get PRS to fix that. So. Yeah, I'll play some flatline riffs if you guys want to hear flatline. I haven't played it in about a week, but let's see how it goes. The 8-string, so PRS is building me an 8-string before I move on. PRS is building me an 8-string that's going to be ready in about a week or 2 weeks. So, yeah, and if you guys, you know, I'll post some pictures up, I'll post some clips of it, and if you want PRS to make you an 8-string, seriously, I can't stress this enough. Write them an angry email. Well, not angry, don't swear, or don't use any racial slurs or anything like that. Just write them a very impassioned request to make a 7, 8, or 8-string or 9-string or whatever guitar you want, and say that you saw me with one and you got jealous or pissed off. All right, so I'll play a couple riffs from flatline. All right, let's see how this goes. I can't promise it'll be cool. Oop, nope, sorry, that goes. There. Oh, you can see I'm very rusty at these riffs. I haven't played them in about a week and a half, so oh, someone asked to play the chorus for that song. Tone's not ideal to play that, but I'm biffing it up. Sorry, I was fucking up. I was fucking up pretty badly there, but again, out of practice, so that's what you get. And you want a raw, unpolished version of these songs, so that's what you get. There are no guest appearances on Periphery 3. We were very intent on that because. Actually, can I talk a little bit about guest appearances real quick? One of the problems with playing some of the Periphery 2 songs live is replicating some of the guest appearances. The Govin solo, the Wes Hauck solo, the Petrucci solo. And it sucks because Erised and Mile Zero are songs that we want to get down, but it's just that none of the guitar players want to play somebody else's solo, you know. And it's not even an ego thing. Take it from me, who played the Guthrie solo for a couple years live when we used to play Have a Blast. It's just, it sucks to try and emulate somebody with their own inhuman style on guitar, you know. I mean, Guthrie is Guthrie for a reason, and it's like you can't win trying to tackle someone with a style like that, sort of unimitatable. I don't know if that's a word. Yeah, that Wes Hauck solo for sure is a pain in the dick. Hold on, I missed some questions up here. Sorry, I'm missing so many of your guys' questions. Yeah, I mean, I've had to relearn a lot of things. You know, I started guitar without ever taking many lessons. I think I had a guitar teacher for several weeks, so he gave me a couple lessons, but besides that, I learned a lot of untraditional things as a guitar player. A lot of things that are kind of blessings now, the way I look at guitar, but I have to go back and relearn certain things. Like I mentioned earlier, my hand posture. For riffs like that. So I'm missing that in my normal playing. My picking is something that I didn't learn a standard way, so I sort of have to find my own way about going about picking things the way I want to pick them. So yeah, I have had to relearn a lot of techniques in my playing, and it's all about just staying fresh, you know, never getting complacent. And fortunately, music is my job now, so my life consists of trying to make sure I'm sharp on all fronts and always improving in some way, which is why you see me playing a lot more leads these days, because I want to improve on that front. And it's why I do a lot of guest solos as well. I did a guest solo on Sithu's album, which was really cool. His album was great, and he was kind enough to ask me to do solo on that record, and I did a solo on the Jason Richardson song that he put out a couple weeks ago, and some more stuff. I'm working on some other projects, so I'm just trying to stretch my comfort zone a little bit, and I think that's the best way to get better, you know, making sure you're not comfortable all the time. How was it playing on Jason's album? The push-pull three-way. Oh, okay, so I'll answer those. Okay, the push-pull three-way, that was just, I wanted something different on this one. You know, I didn't want to replicate the USA model one for one. I didn't want it to be a copy. Otherwise, people who bought the USA model would be like, well, why didn't I just buy this one? I wanted them to be different, but they needed to be similar enough to have sort of a uniform reputation. You know, I wanted them to both sort of fall under my name and the PRS name and be part of the same family, but not be the same exact guitar. It was a great pleasure to play on Jason's record. He's a fantastic guitar player, and he asked me to solo on a song pretty late in the recording process. And when I got the song, I was just like, what do I do with this? The song is all over the place, because as you know, Jason writes some really crazy stuff, like out there. And he got like other players on the record to play solos, like Jeff Loomis and Rick Graham, and some other players who were just monsters, and Nick Johnson, I think. But just some absolute monsters of guitar players. And I was intimidated, so I was like, what do I do? How do I outshred these guys? So my approach for writing that solo was, I'm not going to outshred anybody. I'm just going to do my own melodic, weird, sparse soloing style. And that's exactly what that solo is. I've read some comments, people be like, this is not a real solo, this is not a solo. I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to outshred Jason Richardson, okay? But I am going to do something that I do naturally, because that's why I'm on the record, right? I'm on the record to be myself. I'm on the song to be myself. So that's what that was. And it's just a fun little sparse. I keep going back to sparse because I wanted there to be a lot of silence. I wanted silence to be a factor in the solo, having there be gaps to make the notes a little bit more powerful between the gaps of silence. See some Rack and Loomis collab. How unique would that be? That would be awesome. I love Jeff as a person. Jeff's one of the best dudes ever. And of course, I would love to jam with Jeff. We jammed a couple times several years ago when we toured together, and that was a lot of fun. Do I still get starstruck when I meet people in the industry? Yeah, I do. It's very rare, but when we played Download Festival earlier this month, a couple weeks ago, I saw Steve Harris from Iron Maiden and Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden walking around backstage, like at catering, and I didn't say, like, I didn't walk up to them, you know. I didn't want to piss them off or seem like a weirdo stalker, but I definitely kind of, you know, peed in my pants just a little bit of pee shot out at that moment in time. And I met James Hetfield almost 4 years ago, which was unbelievable because I would have never picked up a guitar if it were not for James Hetfield. And it was a trip. I don't know if I've ever told the James Hetfield story to anybody on the internet, but the Hetfield story happened on the Soundwave tour in Australia several years ago. And Metallica threw a barbecue for all of the bands on the tour. And I was just like, whatever. Like, Metallica's not going to be there. It's probably just going to be like a little Metallica logo on the grill or something like that. And nobody from Metallica is even going to be there at all, remotely. And then we get there, and everyone's there. Like, Lars is there, and like Trujillo's there, and Hatfield's there, and then I see Kirk Hammond off in the corner or whatever. And then like, I say to myself, Jesus Christ, that's James Hetfield. Like, that dude inspired me to pick up a guitar. And so I'm like, I definitely have to go up to that dude and say something at some point, right? Like, I can't go this whole night without saying something to the dude that inspired me to pick up a guitar and pursue this industry as a profession. And I'm just like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So I proceed to slug about 4 cups of wine, like pretty healthy ones too. And I go up to him with my buddy Adam in Killswitch. And we walk up to Hetfield, and Adam's the same way. He's like fanboying, right? And we're like, we got to go up to him. So we go up to him, and he's the nicest dude ever. Nicest. No shred, not even like no morsel or tinge of douchebagginess in that guy at all. Looks us both directly in the eye, engages in probably 10-minute conversation with us, and like, he's like, what band are you guys in? And, you know, I'm like, in Periphery, and he says, I'm in Killswitch, and it's obvious he has no idea who our bands are. And then we start talking about the tour, start talking about, you know, what they're planning tomorrow, and dude, it's the nicest guy, you know, and that makes your day as a fan. You know, when you meet one of your favorite musicians, and this guy was my favorite musician, it wasn't just, oh, he's awesome, like, he's a great dude. It was like, oh my God, this made my life, and I can die happy now. I met James Hetfield, and he was the nicest dude ever to me, and he had a conversation with me. And I've seen him interact with fans, too, and I've seen Petrucci interact with fans, and I've seen other greats, other, like, sort of heavyweight, sort of titans of music interact with their fans, and they're all humble, they're all equally sort of engaging with them, and it's refreshing, you know? It can really make someone's day, and that made my freaking life, getting to do that. So, long answer is yes, I still get Starstruck, but very, very, very rarely. Very rarely. I think Maytab sent me an email. There's a nice surprise in there. Did you send me more animal porn? Bestiality? I'll check in a little bit, dude. I promise. A Haunted Shores tour will never happen. I'm sorry, guys. We've never played live. Okay, so I should back up, and I'll say this as a disclaimer for those of you who had followed Haunted Shores for years now. Haunted Shores used to be a local band of mine in Washington, D.C. I founded the band with my brother, Jeff Holcomb, and we played a bunch of local shows back in 2006, 2007, 2008. And one of these shows in Virginia, we shared the stage with a band called Periphery. And we played in front of about 10 people in 2008. And that's how I became friends with Misha and Jake and the rest of the dudes, and we kept in touch for years. And when Haunted Shores disbanded, I saw Periphery start to gain some success, and I approached Misha. I was like, hey, do you want to like write songs together? We always talk about jamming together. Let's sit down and write. And so he and I sat down, and we started writing what then became the song Immaterial. Can't play that song anymore. we wrote those songs, and he was like, what do you want to call the project? Do you want to call it Haunted Shores? So I was just like, sure, whatever. It's just a name. And we just rolled with it from there. So ever since Haunted Shores was a band, it's just been a vehicle for me to put heavier material into. You know, I mean, some of the faster shit that I write with Misha contributes a lot of it too. It just goes in the Haunted Shores bucket, you know? The stuff that we know the band is going to hate, like the sort of the fast, like... I can't play that song anymore. That just gets thrown into the Haunted Shores bucket, you know, when we write stuff that is too fast for the other dudes to really get into. And Periphery has a sound, and the sort of like blast beat, heavy, thrash, black metal, death metal thing, that's just not, it's not a Periphery thing, you know. Oh, Wraith, man, that's an old Haunted Shores song. That's 2006, man. I wrote that in 2006 with our singer at the time, Nick Dodd. I don't remember any of those riffs, man. Oh, Jacob met me in Stockholm. Cool. I was fanboying over James, not Kirk, although I still would fanboy over Kirk. What do you think is the best time to pick up your first 7-string guitar? Play that by ear. I mean, it all depends on who you are as a player, but I will say one thing. The 6-string guitar is a dinosaur of an instrument compared to the 7-string, and especially the 8-string, which means there's a lot more resources out there to learn from if you have a 6-string. You know, there's more artists who play songs in 6-string. There's more tutorials out there if you play 6-string. So if you're still learning, and if you're still trying to sort of expand your knowledge of the guitar, I mean, the 6-string just seems the most obvious choice. And the 6 for me is still my go-to. If I pick up a guitar to write, you know, the first guitar I pick up is a 6-string, because I can achieve whatever I want with it if it's the right instrument. And that's why this guitar is spec'd out the way it is, because I can tune down, I can try alternate tunings, and I can still play the heavier sort of the gent stuff on there, while still keeping it, while still being flexible enough to play other 6-string songs that aren't meant to be heavy. So it's all up to you, man. But don't jump to an 8-string, please. I hate it when I see people who have been playing guitar for a week and then they go buy an 8-string. It's like, come on. Learn the guitar the way it's meant to be learned. Learn the instrument that freaking, that the forefathers of these genres worked with, and learn from them. Learn from the forefathers. Don't pick up a guitar and try to learn Animals as Leaders in your first week of playing on an 8-string, dude. For real. Does Spencer sing on Jetpack? Yes. Spencer sings on every single Periphery song ever. So if you ever ask yourself if that's Spencer Sotelo, yes, he sings on every Periphery song ever made. And the song is an Arrested Development reference, but I think a lot of you guys know that. Yeah, there you go. Like Shifting Chords said, 8-string is totally fine. If you've been playing and you feel like you got a good grasp on the 6, jump to a 7, jump to an 8. But I got to tell you, one of my pet peeves is seeing people who have been playing for a week or two, or like a month, or even 6 months, they jump to an 8. It's like, what are you going to do? Your hands don't really even know how to feel comfortable on a 6-string neck yet, and then picking up an 8 is just like it's moving to a different instrument entirely. It feels like a baseball bat. So all you're doing is just you're widening that learning curve. You know, it's way easier if you start and you learn efficiently on a 6-string before you make the graduation to an 8. Somebody said Epoch. You're right. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. Any song with vocals that's Spencer. Touring with Dream Theater was cool, and yes, the guys that give us advice, Labrie, Petrucci, and Jordan Rudess, and even Mangini, were very, very approachable, and were open to giving us advice all the time. And if you want advice, those are the best dudes to get it from, since they're virtuosos with their instruments and very friendly on that note. Um, my phrasing, can you please tell me how I go writing notey riffs like that? It's kind of hard to summarize briefly, but really I have this very whimsical approach to guitar. As you can tell when you hear a lot of the riffs and parts that I contribute to Periphery and Haunted Shores, they're kind of all over the place, and really that's kind of a reflection with how I look at the guitar, a reflection of how I look at the guitar. And I've battled with this over the years. Guitar used to not be fun for me, right? It used to be this chore. And I grew tired of it pretty quickly, and I almost quit a bunch of years ago. But then I started to boil it down to its most simple premise. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Because I could easily go pursue, software development, because that's what I was working at the time. I was a software engineer. Why is this a hobby of mine? I can easily pick another hobby. And then I said to myself, this used to be fun to me. So how do I reignite the passion for the guitar? I need to start coming up with things that are actively fun for me to play, that I actively enjoy playing. And once I get over the learning curve of these techniques that I wanted to grasp, these things will become fun for me to play. And that's why, like, that sort of style that I've taken on, I think, like, you think of my style and you think of, like, there's a lot of isms, right? There's a lot of Mark-isms that people tell me that I have, but these isms, not jisms, but isms, are kind of what I find fun about guitar. These are things that I find uniquely fun. I think more fun than the average player finds them to be. And we all have our different barometers of that, right? We all have our different things that we find more fun than the average player. And I would say focus on those. Focus on those. Don't focus on the things you feel pressure to focus on because they're popular at the moment, or because you hear Tesseract doing, or you hear Meshuggah doing, or you hear us doing, and you're like, oh, I should be doing that because that's awesome. I say don't do that. I say focus on the things that you find uniquely fun about what you are doing. Find those things and then focus on those, because that will invariably end up becoming your voice on the guitar. And everybody needs to have their own voice on whatever instrument they're doing, because if you don't, you're just going to be written off as a carbon copy of somebody else. So I hope that helps. Sorry for the long response. I did say jisms. I promised myself I wouldn't make jokes about coming and stuff when I did this live stream, but I just did another one. Shit. Can you talk to me about the pickups? Edward Snark asked me about the pickups. Yeah, the Alpha Omega pickups, I've told this story a lot. I mean, you can go YouTube the development process that went behind dialing in these pickups. And me and Keith Merrow voiced them. They're awesome. They're meant to satisfy everything that I like. Again, going back to what I like about playing guitar and all the tendencies that I have, they're meant to really pronounce those. So all the big chordy stuff, it's meant to make those sound really bright and rich and clear and defined, but then the sort of low, snarling, growling. And also the clean tones, of course, those are absolutely mandatory to be able to nail. So yeah, we spent 4 days dialing those in, and my favorite pickup set ever made. What can I say? And there will be a 7 and 8 string version of those pickups made available by Seymour Duncan. Okay, and hopefully that will happen later this year. But again, if you want them sooner, just write them and tell them that they need to start making them. And these will be production line; they won't be custom shop. So. Yes, sir. There you go. The SE top, it has a little bit of, it's not completely flat. Slightly beveled towards the edges, but not near as sort of rounded as the top on the US-made PRSs. Let's see here. I missed some. Wired Guitarist just said something, and Mark is right. They do sound awesome. Oh, thanks, dude. Thank you. I mean, they're not everyone's going to find them awesome. They're really meant for players who have kind of my tastes in guitars. You know, they're meant to be dynamic, and our music's very dynamic, and I want it to be able to cover all of those bases. So Those are my tastes. I love Carnival. Love Carnival. They're amazing. One of my favorite bands. You know, yeah, you can get the Alpha Omegas in a different color spec. You just got to write Seymour Duncan about it. String gauges that I use for drop A tuning, I use 11 to 56. In the studio, I use 10 to 52 for my drop C tuning. For that tuning, I use 10 to 52 in the studio, but right now I have 11 to 56s on here for live use because I want it to be more stable live, and I find that they go sharp and flat a little bit less easily when I'm playing thicker strings. So, and I can do this and not have to worry about sending the guitar out of tune. What if I just did that for the next hour? Would that be a good use of my live stream? Okay. Someone asked me about the Peace Corps days. I used to work at the Peace Corps headquarters in Washington, D.C. when I lived in D.C. Back in the day, and I did software engineering for them as I pursued music on the side. So it was just a fun gig. I did it for about 4 years, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Let's see. Sounds like a cop car. Yeah. It does sound like a cop car. A cop car! Point in the past where you thought it's not going to work out with music? Yeah, of course. Of course. I think that's part of anybody who's a professional musician is knowing how to deal with that doubt. And it's part of being just a casual musician and you're thinking about taking it professionally. There's always going to be this doubt in your mind that this is not going to work out. But there's two things to it. And there's two very, very important aspects to getting ready to pursue music as a career. And one is tempering your expectations. It's managing your expectations. Be prepared for it not to work, right? Because chances are, percentages say it's not going to work. But that can be proven wrong by many, many things. Hard work, charisma, networking, talent is the number one thing. Please be talented and work on your craft. But there's all of these things that go into being able to prove that wrong. And it's really just a lot of hard work on the side. And of course, if you're not one of these kids who's fortunate enough to have your parents pay your way through school, your parents pay your rent, which I'm not, I've never been that person. I've always had to pay my own rent and pay for everything in my life ever since I became of age. I had to work 45, 50 hours a week, more than that, to finance the things that I cared about. And the fact of the matter is that I care about music more than I care about anything in the world. And I needed to make it happen. Whether it was just a hobby or whether it was professionally, I needed to make sure that music was a large part of my life. And if I wasn't doing it with Periphery, if I wasn't doing it with Haunted Shores, and I was just a guy in my bedroom playing guitar, I would still be happy. I mean, obviously I'm happier doing this, but I would still care about it more than I cared about anything in my life. And you have to have that passion and carry it throughout every stage of your music career, whether you're just a local band driving around getting to shows, an hour away from your house, whether you're doing a weekend warrior tour or whether you're booking your own tours or slumming it, getting paid $100 for a show that's 6 hours away from your house that you had to rent a van to get to. You have to love what you're doing, right? You have to love the grind of it. And it is going to be dirty and grimy and not ideal, but you really have to love it. And I've always loved it. You know, I've always loved even the tougher aspects of it. I've always loved the people. You know, and that's when I love being around my band. I love meeting people in the industry, and I do it because it's a culture that I genuinely love being a part of, and I wouldn't surrender it for anything in the world. But yeah, just those two things: temper your expectations and have that ready to go in the back of your head. Even have a backup plan. You know, having an education and having a craft besides music that you're good at, so you can have something to fall back on while you pursue music. That's good to have. And the second part is just be prepared to play any show that you can and bust your ass. And please be a pleasant person, because I meet a lot of people who are amateurs and who are trying to become professionals and who aspire to do it as a career, but they don't know how to network. They don't know how to be nice people. They don't know how to be people that you would naturally want to talk to, right? And that's, I feel like it's just an unspoken skill that is taken for granted, but it's very, very, very important. So don't be a dickhead, to sum it up. Do I think the pickup would work for indie rock, alternative rock? Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, they can handle clean tones and distorted tones pretty well. I would love to hear something tracked with the pickups that was used for indie rock. Honestly, I've never played indie rock on this guitar ever. I mean, does this count? Oh wait, you said indie rock, not cock rock. Damn it. Did Sifu say something? Wait, Bird spent a lot of time on him. By a lot, I mean years. A lot of time on what, Sifu? I'm so confused by what you said. Egos kill bands too, Lucas. That's right. Egos kill bands. Don't go around thinking you're the shit. Please. Please. I'm not going to name names, but that's the #1 thing that I hate about meeting other musicians and meeting artists is they love talking about themselves. They have egos. Like, that's the only thing they know how to do is talk about themselves. It's like, dude, learn how to hold a conversation. Learn how to ask somebody about their day. Learn how to care about other people. Learn how to be an empathetic person, a sympathetic person, and not just know how to talk about yourself. Really, it's one thing that I wish somebody would have taught me years ago. It's just, as an artist, people expect you to be full of yourself. You know, just don't be that guy, please. Yes, I totally use bias still. That's my road rig. So right now I'm using the Yamaha THR-10X. I use that in my house. I use the AXFX Live and my PRS Archon, which is in the other room. For my road rig, I take out my iPad and I have bias installed on my iPad. Do I have a favorite old school death metal band from early 90s? Cannibal Corpse. Cannibal Corpse is probably Cannibal and Morbid Angel are probably my favorite 2 death metal bands of all time. Emperor is my favorite black metal band of all time. You guys should know this stuff, right? I say it in every interview. What amp do I use in Axe-Fx? Friedman for the win. Friedman all the way. Best guitars are talented. Oh, it's Zachary. It's all of those things, really. I mean, you have to have some talent, but I don't believe that we're born with the ability to move our fingers faster than other players. You know, I mean, I know some people who have just a distinct talent for writing certain things, like they hear things differently than the rest of the world does, like a Devin Townsend or something like that, or a Casey Crescenzo. But I think maybe something like that is innate, but I really do think it's all learned. I really do think for the most part it's learned, and if you work hard enough at something, you can get just as good at something as the next guy. You can even be a Guthrie Govan if you work as hard as that dude does. Maybe not, because he's an alien, so that's a bad example. Any up-and-coming bands you're into? Up-and-coming? I mean, I don't really listen to a lot of newer bands right now. I mentioned that band, The Japanese House, earlier. It's really cool, sort of down-tempo, melodic, vocoder, saturated electronic music. That's very, very cool. Very cool. I really like the band Chan right now, but they're not up-and-coming, right? They do headline tours and stuff. They're not up-and-coming. They're a fantastic band. By the way, guys, I think I'm going to probably try and go for another half hour. I had an obligation that I was supposed to attend to that ended up canceling in the last half hour, so I'm good to go. I'm going to stay on for another half hour. All right? Let's see. I am a gamer. I am a gamer for sure, and the Final Fantasy series is probably my favorite series, tied with the Fallout series. And I'm not talking about Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. I'm talking about Fallout 1 and 2. And for those of you gamers out there, you really have to try out Fallout 1 and 2. Okay, because I meet so many players who have never messed with the first 2. They're amazing. The story and the character development and the dialogue is so much sharper than it is in the subsequent ones. It's all about those first 2, man. It's all about those first 2. Polyphia, I've never really heard Polyphia. I think I've heard some small clips of them. They sound pretty cool. I've never gotten a really deep dive into their music, though. Roy Carpenter asked, did I ever find the comparison? No! About 9 years ago, somebody stole a comparison from my apartment building. No joke. Somebody stole it from my apartment building. The package was left in my lobby and somebody stole it. Still have never found it. It sucks. I have about a dozen NES games. I never got into fighting games, man. Mortal Kombat 3. I got into Mortal Kombat 3. Cabal, right? Cabal was my dude. I used to do that combo that like eliminated 54% of your health. Flutter my whammy bar and you have Polyphia. Fallout 1 and 2. I believe you can buy it. You can buy it on Steam, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. Don't Google it. Yeah, Google Fallout 1 and 2. Yeah, I do still play GTA from time to time. Although the next game I'm going to play is Metal Gear Solid 5 because that's next on my list, and that is one of my favorite franchises of all time, up there with Fallout and Final Fantasy. Yes, GOG has the Fallout games, I'm sure. Yep. What Remo Chun is saying. Yep. And a riff break? A riff break? Okay. All right, I've been talking a lot. How about I just riff for a little bit? I need to practice anyways, right? A few words about Periphery Summer Jam. Whoever's coming to Summer Jam, you're in for an awesome time. 4 days at the end of July, we're getting in a resort together, and we're all going to learn and hang out all day, and it's going to be cool. We're going to focus on the recording process and writing process that we go through, and you guys are going to be a part of it. It's going to be super interactive and very fun for all of us. So, I got to practice for this tour in August. Some prayer position riffs, so I'm going to play a couple riffs for you guys, okay? Here he goes. I'm going to fuck up. Just a disclaimer. Okay, that's enough for that. That's prayer position. And that's a tough one. But yeah, like I was saying about Periphery 3, does anybody want to ask me Periphery 3 questions? Because I feel like we have a new record coming out in 3 weeks. And people should be psyched about that because it's our riffiest record ever. There's so many awesome, notey, fun riffs that you could sink your teeth into. So ask the questions, man. Let's go. Tell musicians to point you that you trusted, for example. Somebody asked if I've ever had a musician, if I ever distrusted a musician. Sure, this industry is filled with really shady people, man. But keep your friends close and your enemies closer, as they say. But learn how to build a shell, as they say. You know what I mean? Try and be immune from these kinds of poisonous people. And you're going to run into them every single day. And we're quite used to dealing with them because you have them in every walk of life and every part of the music business. But keep your family close and learn how to deal with these people and have thick skin because it's really the only way you can deal with these people. Favorite riff off of P3? Huh. That's a fun one. That riff right there. So that. That's a Nolly special. This whole riff. think that's a fun one. But this stuff changes every day. The album was recorded at Misha's apartment, at his home studio. We recorded guitars, bass, and did all the programming there in his bedroom studio. And then Matt recorded his drums in Middle Farm Studios in England. And Spencer recorded his vocals in Bethesda, Maryland with Taylor Larson. We don't know what it's like to tour without a bassist yet, because we haven't done so. Nolly's last show with us was at Download Festival 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago. So we're about to find out. We shall see. We shall see. And yes, that was Nolly's final show as a touring member of Periphery. My favorite mysterious dark sounding chords, that's a good question. That one, the faceless chord. You guys know the faceless chord? Otherwise known as the spy chord. Because it's like from a spy movie. That's a cool chord. The bond chord, that's correct. The bond chord. Let's see. Yeah, the pale aura chord too is another fun one. The pale aura chord. I'm not even going to try to play that song because I haven't played it in about 3 years. Will you ever show the Habitual Line Stepper song to Charlie Murphy? Yes! I would buy Charlie Murphy a drink and I would proceed to annoy the shit out of him because that dude's my hero. But yes, you know, he'd probably never hear it. You're bald and you can play bass good. Give me a dingle and a job. All right, dude, I'll send you an email, okay? Put your email right there. Actually, put your home phone number. Put your mother's passport number followed by your email, and I will give you a phone call at your email address. I'm picking from my wrist. Oh, you want to hear Remain Indoors? Hey, you guys want to hear a cool trick? Is when you're writing a polyrhythmic part, you pick a random sequence of numbers, right? Say 16 digits, 16 numbers, and then you group them together over a 4/4 beat. You know what I mean? So you take, let's say, the first 4 numbers of your 16 numbers are 8, 6, 2, 3. And you try and group 8 notes in the first sequence, and then you do 6 notes in the second sequence, and then 2 notes in the next sequence, and then 3. And sometimes, in order to generate this number, I will use my credit card number, followed by the expiration date. So I want you all to go ahead and just put your credit card numbers, followed by your expiration date, along with the CVV, that little 3-digit number. Put it right there in the comments section, so I can try and write a song for you using your credit card numbers, okay? Thanks, guys. Thanks. Just go ahead and do that while I play Remain Indoors, okay? Jake wrote a really cool riff for that song. You want to hear a Jake riff? There's a tapping bit that I'm still trying to learn from that song. Yeah, that's a Jake riff. That is very much a Jake riff. That's the song "Remain Indoors," and yes, somebody did say up there it was a old Misha demo, and that first riff. That first riff is from an old Misha demo, and we basically built a song out of it. We took that one riff, and then we fleshed out the entire song. All of us got into a room and created quite a cool song out of that one. That's one of my favorites from the record for sure. And Daniel Mabe asked how many P3 songs we're going to play on the upcoming tour. Probably a good bit of them. And I know that probably isn't going to excite you guys because you haven't heard it yet. So I hope that doesn't bum you out or anything like that. But I really just want you to hear the record. If I could make you guys hear the record right now, if I could enable it to be in your hands at this very second, I totally would, because I really feel it's our strongest album to this point. It's a lot more direct, it's a lot more powerful and explosive and concise than Juggernaut. It's still a pretty long record, but by direct I mean that every song works on its own. You know, it's not as much of a slow burn, it's not as much of a slow build-up as Juggernaut was, and each of these songs is meant to be powerful enough on their own, whereas Juggernaut was part of a story. There was all of these themes involved, there was an overarching storyline, and it all had to fit in this fictional framework that Spencer wrote. Whereas Periphery 3 is just us writing fun songs, powerful, fun songs that in a way harken back to our state of mind on Periphery 2, which was when we wrote Periphery 2, it was just, let's get into a studio and write music that makes us happy. And while we're a much more collaborative band than we were in Periphery 2 now, we have the same exact attitude. And when I listen to the record, it just sounds like a band that's having fun. The songs are heavy as shit, very, very complex and you know, technical, of course, but they're just fun songs. They sound like a band that's having a lot of fun writing and performing them. Play some? No, you don't want me to play music from my phone. That's not the first impression that I want to give you of our new record. You know what I mean? Flatline was great. Described the UK economy great. Yes, it did. Oh, damn. I'm not gonna make any England jokes. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna piss on the UK while they're down. You know? Yeah. I know Nolly is pretty bummed out. I was texting with Nolly yesterday, and he's pretty bummed out about the whole breakfast. It's what's called breakfast, right? The whole breakfast scenario. Advice for fleshing out riff ideas into a song. Just trial and error when recording your riffs, and you know, I've learned that bouncing it off my bandmates is a huge benefit. So not being afraid to bounce it off other people. If you have like a riff or two or three ideas that fit, but you don't quite have enough to make it into a song, is don't give up. Don't give up on it. In worst case, try and bounce it off somebody. Never be too proud to work with somebody else. You know what I mean? The most talented people I know rely on other people to some extent for quality control, for collaboration. Don't be too proud. Yes, I'm using the Yamaha amp. That is right. Any tips on transitioning from riff to riff, like getting stuck in a loop with one? Transitioning from riff to riff, normally when I'm joining riffs together, when creating a song, there has to be several criteria that are met. I don't like to have jarring key changes in music unless it's like a bridge section or it's like a third chorus where a key change would feel really good. But normally I don't like to have an abrupt key change. So I like to have it be in the same key, and I don't like to have BPM shifts, which would be like tempo changes basically. So they have to be the same tempo and have to pretty much be in the same key for them to go together. Otherwise, I don't really try and force it. But that's just me. And I think that's a pretty good basis for Periphery's music as well. You won't hear a lot of jarring tempo changes as far as our material goes. How was it when you found out who Jake's uncle is? Oh, for those of you guys who don't know, John Myung is Jake Bowen's uncle. It's funny because Jake doesn't look Asian at all, but I think he's adopted. Jake is by John. No, I'm just kidding. He's Petrucci's nephew. Yeah, that's correct. And I've kind of found out accidentally that was the case. I had no idea for several years when I knew Jake. But any bands I would like to collaborate with one day? I don't know. Funny enough, I've been chatting with Steph Carpenter from Deftones about jamming together. He's been listening to this German black metal band, which the name escapes me. Hold on, I'm actually going to look it up real quick, because he showed me this band that I've been really into, and I can't pronounce it. So I'm about to sound very, 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 very ignorant right now. Maybe I'll write in the comments after the stream. But anyway, this black metal band, we were dorking out. We were like, I wish we could play music this brutal. And Steph was like, yeah, I want to do that. So maybe he and I will collaborate one day. But he's one of the dudes for sure. Thanks, Sithu. And I always have my left thumb over the neck. I always have. I mean, yeah, pretty much it's always over the neck. So, but I wouldn't recommend that you emulate that because you have a pretty amazing style of your own, and don't retard it up because of me. You know what I mean? You have a perfectly cohesive, specific style of your own. So yes, exactly, that's the one. They're called Der Weg einer Freiheit. Yeah, Der Weg einer Freiheit. It sounds like somebody just threw a bowling ball down the stairs. Der Weg einer Freiheit. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Maybe a German guy can teach me how to pronounce that. But yeah, that's the band, and yeah, super inspiring stuff. And it makes me want to. Do more really brutal, unmelodic stuff like that. And maybe that's what the next Heart and Shores record will be. Sometimes I think about that. What if the next Heart and Shores is totally nihilistic, not melodic at all? The Way of a Freedom. Interesting. Thanks, Nick. The Way of a Freedom. Now, see, if I said that in English, if I called my band The Way of a Freedom, I would just be labeled as like a Donald Trump supporter or something like that. This is the way of freedom, making black metal great again. Oh, thanks, Nick. Oh, The Way to Freedom. Okay. Zachary, I just saw the P comment, that's why I was laughing. Zachary, the story behind Juggernaut, that's a Spencer question, man. That's a Spencer question. It's been enough time since Juggernaut came out, but ask him on Twitter or something like that. There is a very detailed and complex story, but Spencer plays it very, very, very secretive. Yeah, so Jacob is asking about chord shapes. So with the chord shapes in mind, I'll be in a drop tuning, and I'll sort of just start fretting lower strings. Sorry. So I'll start by finding my root note and fretting it with my thumb, or fretting it. How about, for all intents and purposes, let's not use my thumb because let's not retard it up. Let's pretend that I'm not me. Let's pretend that I'm you, and you play like a normal human being. Fret these lower strings, and when you have these root notes covered with your first finger, that leaves you with 3 other fingers to potentially fret voicings with. And it's fun to experiment with these kinds of things, you know, to find voicings that make your ears happy, I like to say. Voicings that sound interesting to you. And the beauty of a drop tuning is that you can go ahead and knock those root notes out with one finger, leaving you the rest to flesh out these specific voicings in your chords. So, I mean, it's really just, since I'm not a theory guy, I sort of just use my ear to search for colors or voicings or variations that sound interesting to but back to the thumb thing, that's why I started using it, because if I use my thumb, now I have 4 extra fingers to go ahead and fret those voicings. So that results in that chord. That's the mile 0 chord right there. People ask me how I fret that, and it's kind of hard to teach somebody who doesn't like to play with their thumb because you need your thumb. It involves 5 fingers. Sorry, 4 fingers, but impossible to play without your thumb, pretty much. So, and that chord appears in the first riff from Ozzy. That one is 9, starting from the low strings, the high is 9, 12 open, and then 9, 10 open. So, thumb shots. Oh, sorry about the video, guys. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Come back, Chris. How about now? All right. Well, how about while they sort out this connection, I'm just going to jam. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out which questions to. Yes and no on the value of music degrading because of the internet, but at the same time, I can go out and find bands I never would have been able to find out about if it weren't for the internet. It's a blessing, you know, but it definitely has become a lot more disposable from the angle. UK tour plans, we will be back soon. We'll be back soon, I promise. And Sithu, to answer your question, that was just something that Hayato, the main dude of Sequem, sent me a message, and he was like, hey, you want to do one? And I was very, very relaxed and easy about the idea, and it turned out fun, turned out cool. I love In Flames. The Jester Race changed my life. Jester Race and Oracle and Colony, those albums absolutely changed my life. Can I play In Flames? Anybody who can name that riff gets a free hug the next time I see well, guys, I think Darude Sandstorm. All right, guys, I think I got to get going. So I'm gonna go ahead and log off now. But I realize I've been doing this for almost 2 hours now. Sorry for the technical difficulties we ran into earlier, but I'm glad we got it working without a hitch. And thank you guys for being part of this. And if you have any other questions about anything periphery related, career related, industry related, business related, guitar related, just hit me up. Write me a message on Facebook, Shoot me a snap on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram. I'm there. I put myself out there. Social media whore for life. Okay. Well, take care, guys, all right? Be good, and I will see you on the road. ATP Summer Camp happening in late July, and we'll be out on a full U.S. tour in August. And then if you live outside of the U.S., we will be in you very soon. I assure you of that. All right, take care, guys. Peace. Much love.